Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. One of my favorite techniques, and I think one that's extremely effective, is scripting. A lot of people have asked me to do shows on this. I've actually done shows in the past, and I'm going to cover it from kind of a couple different angles. And I think scripting is extremely powerful for a few reasons. And so let's get into it. Let's start talking about it. One, I recommend something like a journal. I've got one here. Do these. I use these. I don't know. You don't have to. It's just something that's reasonably inexpensive. It's got a nice cover on it. I don't know. It's just easy to work. It's bound. They store well, right? There's a lot of things that are good about these, but you can get fancy journals and spend money, get them all colored and creative, whatever you want to do. It's totally fine. They all work beautifully. But what I do in them, and I've used them for a number of different projects, but I'll DJ thing here. I've got like some sort of little opening that I was planning on doing, a couple little shows, voiceover ideas. Like I've got journals for work. I've got journals for spiritual. I've got journals for manifesting. Journals are an extremely powerful tool to work through emotions, to work through what it is that you're actually trying to create in life, and to try to see if you can put some focus towards it. Now, again, we talk about focus-based universe. This is why we use certain techniques, is it's a means to get us to focus in a particular direction and try to help accomplish what it is that we're out to do. So, scripting, from just a journaling standpoint, it's a great idea just to start writing things out, write some of your feelings out, write some of the things that are coming out to the surface. And what you'll find in a lot of cases, especially if you're having troubles, right? And that's really when journaling, that's typically when I journal the most, is when I'm a little more on the downside of life rather than everything going great. I know some people script all the time or journal all the time. It's all good. It's just me. I like writing, but I don't. I don't enjoy creative writing. I'd rather talk. I'd rather come up with something like that. I'd rather act. I'd rather be up in front of people. But writing a screenplay, it's just something I don't want to do right now. I know at some point I will. My older brother's a writer. I know lots of people that love to write, just not huge on it. So again, I tend to use it when I'm in a place where I want to get my feelings out. I want to see them, and I want to understand them. And what happens when you do that is you start to see some of the little subconscious beliefs we have. You get to see some of those little things that are holding us back. So sometimes just by free form, just by writing, dear journal, it doesn't matter. I am so sad, blah, blah, blah. The whole point is to just write. Don't think. Don't get too crazy in thinking. Again, this is in this journaling concept, but don't get too crazy on the thinking. You don't want to lead the writing. You want the writing to lead you. You want to see what comes out. And then read it like a third party, like a coach, like you're coaching someone else. Read your journal and look at it and go, oh, and it will start to make sense. So a lot of people have asked, well, how can I identify some of these fears I have, some of these beliefs I have that are maybe holding me back? This is a great way to do it. When you just write, journal, and get your thing out there, you'll find that you'll be able to see it. It's sometimes like talking is the same way. You'll hear yourself say something and you'll be like, whoa, I just said that. Oh my gosh. Journaling's the same way. Allows you to write it, allows you to get those feelings out there, allows you to just blah it out onto a piece of paper and then look at it and learn. So journaling, in my opinion, is a great form of trying to, therapy, trying to really work through some of the kinks. So that's scripting also, but the scripting that people frequently talk about is when you're being a little more creative, a little more imaginative. And this, I think, is very powerful. This is how we manifest and how we create. So a lot of us are trying to maybe manifest a relationship with a particular person. Maybe we're trying to manifest a new job, new car, more money, whatever the case is. What you can do is you can start writing out and draw it like so first off, this is your story, what I've called eons ago, your movie. This is your movie to create. You're essentially now a playwright. That's what you are as a scribe or as scripting is really set up to be, is you are now taking the reins, taking the pen of your story and beginning to write it out. What you do by doing this is you start to paint in the details. You start to paint in the scenes. You start to create these scenes that maybe you have a hard time imagining in your mind with your eyes closed, but when you're writing it out, you start to get into it. You start to get into that sort of fluidity that goes with writing, that sort of beauty, the way the scene starts to behave, the dance, the way the poetry starts to come out, the creative language that we frequently use. And in doing this, one, it gets you to focus, again, on what you're trying to create. And two, it helps you really put some solid effort towards creating these imaginal scenes. Now, you can take these imaginal scenes that you've scripted, and you can use these over and over in your mind. Maybe you're having a hard time coming up with a scene. Spend some time on paper. And yes, you can type. It doesn't have to be written. Works both ways. Works probably any number of ways. If there's other way, you can cut yourself and write with blood. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Write on a rock. I don't recommend necessarily writing on a wall, but if you've got a wall, you can write all over the wall. Shoot, doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, and it creates your little vision board of words, if you will. So scripting allows you to really get into a character and start to really create imaginal scenes with clarity. You can build them out. You can even go so far as to create characters. Maybe your boyfriend, for example, the specific person. It's one of the things I've also recommended before is think about what kind of person you want to be with, this relationship, how you want this relationship to be, how you want this person to interact with you, how do you want them to love you, how do you want them to touch you and caress you, hold you when maybe things are scary, or how do you want them to behave when maybe you're having one of those strong moments and you don't want someone being weak around you. How do you want them to behave when all you want them to do is listen to what's going on just so they understand how you feel? Like, how do you want those things to play out? Spell it out. What kind of person are you going to be with? What kind of man or woman are you looking for to kind of fulfill your needs in a relationship? And so many of us kind of forget that our needs are really, they need to be met. Now, what's great about relationships is your needs and there's their needs, and both need to be met. It's kind of where the fun really is you're taking two individuals that are completely different, well, different in the sense of they're not the same people. And it's not us pushed out. We can debate this all day long, but frankly, other people are not you. Your perception of them and how we project onto them our fears and misconceptions and everything else, yes, that's us pushed out. The person themselves is not you pushed out. You are not the other person. You are the way you perceive them. That is you pushed out. Anyway, we don't want to get off track. But having these other people and really starting to define them better, defining our needs better. What are the top things you want in a relationship? That should be a page of this scripting. Yeah, you should have scenes. You can write those all out. So the scenes are great. You can write top 10 lists. You can write the most 20 important things in a relationship, the things that you've learned from past relationships that this new relationship's going to have. Time spent with you, the ability to, maybe they're wealthier, maybe they've got money, maybe they don't, the ability to travel, right? All these things are going to come into play with your ideal mate. Scripting is beautiful for that as well. Again, journals work beautifully for that. Write it. Top 10 things. You can have a page for that. My perfect person. Maybe even leave a couple blank pages after it because you know you're going to keep adding to it, maybe crossing stuff off and adjusting it through the time. Again, scripting is great because it helps us plan out into the future. I really recommend having a 6 month, like a year and a half, and a 5-year plan. You can go further than that, but really those 3. 6 month, year and a half, 5-year plan. Get your ideas of where you think you will be, where you would like to be in those time frames. Keep it real. It's got to be believable. It's got to be believable. A lot of people are like, I've never met this person before, and I want to manifest a relationship with them tomorrow. And that's just our desire, and oftentimes our needs to fulfill something from the outside. But that all being said, let's keep it realistic. If you've never met this person before, the odds are that they're going to walk up to you and be like, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Like somewhere in the next 24 hours is very unlikely. Could happen, but it's extremely unlikely, right? You're talking a 0.0001% chance. Like there's one person on the planet that happened to. And, you know, when you probably look at it closer, you're probably like, that was a really weird, freaky creep show thing that just happened. But oddly, the person he approached was the perfect person to approach, right? Like they didn't take it as creepy or weird, and somehow they looked at him and like, oh my God, I've waited my whole life for some random stranger to walk up and say something super creepy to me that means so much. Right? That can happen. There are interesting people in the world, but it helps us build out our future. It helps us build that 6 month mark. Very important. What's a realistic place to be in 6 months? That's a page in your journal. Script that out. So another one, where am I going to be in a year and a half? Script that out. Think about it. Focus on it. Come up with some goals. Come up with some long-term things that probably should be happening by that point. Again, be realistic with it. be realistic. I don't mean like manifestation doesn't work and you can't create things that are, crazy. No, they can, but be realistic with your time frames. Again, I know we want things fast, and I know there's a lot of debate as to whether or not you can manifest instantly or not. Frankly, yes, you can. Most of us can't because most of us don't have our thoughts together that well. We would do more damage to our lives if we manifested immediately than we would do benefit. So most of us have a defense mechanism already in play because we can't control our thoughts well enough to make sure that, 85, 90% of the time we're being positive in what we're trying to do, or at least helping our lives, rather than that percentage of time where we get scared, we have fears, we're like, oh, they don't love us, oh my God, they're horrible, I wish you'd die. Like, we say horrible things, and we don't mean it, but we say it, and it still counts as energy towards that. So yeah, most of us don't manifest immediately. As you get the manifestation wheel moving more and more and more, the speed at which things start to show up is definitely enhanced and definitely quicker. So people talk about, how can I speed up manifesting? Get out of your own way. Keep the wheel rolling. Stop putting on the handbrake, and you will be surprised. You'll get momentum going. Things just start to happen, and then your confidence increases because you're like, dude, everything I think of happens. I got this. Bam! And you're like, say, I know it, right? That's when you're rocking and rolling. So get your plans together. Get your 6-month plan. Get your 1.5-month plan, and put a 5-year plan in place. I know it's a little freaky, but 5 years, a lot can change in 5 years. A lot can change in 5 years. I about tripled my income in a 5-year period of time. It was pretty significant. And it was just constantly working at it, constantly making efforts towards it. And again, this growth is still continuing in my life. My 5-year plan right now is actually very interesting. And so again, it's one of those things I continually go back to it and I evolve it out a little bit further from where I'm at now, right? A 1.5 years later, I look back at my 5-year plan. I'm like, cool, I'm on track. Let's revise. Let's do a new 5-year plan. Here's where it's going to be. Here's the things that I think I should have by that point, right? Here's my new 1.5 year plan, because the last one I've pretty much reached. And be fair to yourself. You might not hit it exactly. If you're 80%, 70%, you're doing good. Again, I am not one of these people that's like, well, you didn't manifest it unless it's 100% exactly like you said. Yeah, I don't even bother with that level of thought. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. Some of you, I know, that's fine. That's where you can believe whatever you want. But what I found is being close has worked almost all the time. And the times where it doesn't, I can usually find some sort of causation or at least a solid reason for why it probably didn't play out that way and why it's most likely a benefit. So scripting is amazing. Use it to journal, to get your stuff out, your feelings, your fears, your insecurities. Let them come out naturally as you're just journaling about how so-and-so won't text you back and they won't like your stuff on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And then you read it and you're like, dude, you sound needy. You'll hear it. You'll hear it in your own voice. And then you realize, that's not cool. So then start writing some needy affirmations. Start looking for videos on needy. Start to tackle that problem. Journal about it. Write more about it. Write your 6-month plan about how neediness is, you're not going to talk about how neediness is going away, no, but you're going to talk about what are the opposite things that you will be experiencing or expressing that are essentially the opposite of needy. So again, you're not going to go, I'm going to make neediness leave my life. Well, if you say it that way, neediness will stay with you forever. Instead, you will say, I will be confident in what I'm doing in my life. I will be happy within my own environment. I will have everything that I require already when I'm entering into a relationship, so I can be a whole person getting involved with another whole person, and we can have an amazing relationship together, right? That's the opposite of needy, really. It's not saying, I don't want to be needy. That's my 6-month plan. I won't be needy. Well, you're going to be needy in 6 months, I promise you, because you can't make something go away when you're still focusing on it. If I'm still looking at something, it's not going away. I don't care if I said, I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you. Yeah, you are. Come on, Dan. Don't lie to me. You're looking right at me. And I am too. I'm talking right to you too. Yeah. So these things help. These things kind of get the ball rolling. These things get us thinking. These things let us see what we're doing. And so many people love writing, love journals, love having that journal. And then you just put it in a box, put it in your closet, put it under the stairs, wherever your hidden treasures go, put it there. Maybe one day you'll pull it out. Maybe 40 years from now, you'll be moving a box. You'll open it up. And you'll be like, come on, my journals. Wow. And you might just randomly grab one and start flipping through it and just laugh. because some of the stupid stuff you were saying at the time. I've looked at some of my old stuff and it's just like, oh man, dude, you were a mess. But it helped me work through it. It's not that I am a mess currently. No, I was at the time. And working through all this crazy in my life and seeing it and reading it and going back and going, ay, ay, ay. And by the way, from a totally slightly aside, it's also a great place to work on some of your psychic abilities, right? You can kind of write your stuff out. You think something's going to happen. You feel really strong about it. And you're like, I want to work on this. I know what's happening. Write it down, man. You don't need to tell anyone else about it. Leave it for you and you only. You and God, or you and Allah, and you and whoever. Leave it for you guys. But write it down and then see. Were you right? Were you close? Were you on track? And work on that too. It's a great way to put some awesome energy towards working on your sensitivity. It's something I've done. That's probably what I've journaled most, is through a lot of that. And that really helped me understand the feelings, understand what these things I was picking up on, understand when it was more me and less them, and more them and less me. Like, it helped me really establish the difference. And a lot of people have asked me questions. It's very hard to describe. It's one of those things that you feel. You feel your way through it. And certain things feel differently than other things. You just get comfortable with the feelings. To me, feelings are like colors, kind of. And so there's an array of colors. And you need to know each color kind of has its own vibration and feeling to it. Well, feelings are kind of similar. Like, they have a meaning that's ascribed to that feeling. And sometimes the feeling's a little like weird. It's like not bad, but it's not good. And it's kind of like, what is it? Like, and so sometimes it's a little confusing. So again, scripting has a number of benefits that you can gain from them, and I highly recommend it. So get yourself a journal, whatever it is, fancy one, schmancy one, blah, 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 boring one like mine, pieces of paper, typewriter, just save it on a document on your desktop, whatever works for you. It's going to work for me too, I promise you. So give it a try, give it a go. Have your, 6, year and a half, 5-year plans, listen to yourself. Decide what kind of person you want to be with. Decide what this job's going to be like. Take a page, write it out. It's your story. It's your movie. Write your movie. Live your movie. The journal will help. The scripting will help. Give it a go. Hopefully you like it. Dan Radio Style.